Hey, how's it going? Happy Venus turning direct. I thought I would do my very first Facebook Live presentation, and I hope you can join me and let me know in the comments about what's going on for you. What does this Venus direct feel like to you? I did a post yesterday that was talking about this reckoning energy. Like, we need to face what's working and what's not working. And this has everything to do with Venus. Venus is what we value, what we care about. And so Venus has been doing this in crazy retrograde. And that retrograde began on March 4th. But even before that, before the planets go retrograde, you start to feel the energy of them. And so when the Venus went retrograde on March 4th, that was when this began, but we really started feeling it when Venus was all the way back in its shadow, and that was on January 30th. So at the end of January is when this cycle began, and we're now at a turning point. It's not over till it's over, until Venus gets back to its, out of its shadow, which means it comes back to the original place it was before it went retrograde. So Venus basically does a retrograde every year and a half. And so we are looking at a cycle that doesn't happen that often. So Venus goes retrograde the least amount and of all the planets, and so it's the most important retrograde. Why? Because it's our heart and soul, what we really care about and what we value, and our relationships, but really our relationship to ourselves, especially with all this. Venus has spent like 5, 6, 8 weeks in Aries because of this retrograde. And so right now, though, it's in Pisces. So even though it's turning direct today, we're not going to really feel that energy of direct motion, first of all, until Mercury goes direct on May 3rd. So we've got a couple weeks here of the Venus energy, the goddess in our life, trying to move forward with this revaluation thing that we've been doing, trying to figure out what we really want, what we really love. So we're trying to move forward. But Mercury's retrograde and Saturn turned retrograde this month, and so we're just kind of feeling like, I don't know how to move forward. Now, that's complicated by the fact that Venus is hanging out with Chiron, the wounded healer, or we can call Chiron the shaman, because what really happened from Chiron's wounds is that he transcended this reality and became a spiritual warrior, a shaman, a healer, because of what he overcame. So this is what's happening for us in our lives. We're getting this massive activation of that spiritual healer within, and it's according to the goddess, because Venus is turning direct right on top of Chiron. The astrology that's happening right now is so incredibly rare. To have Saturn and Venus and Chiron squaring Saturn, and along with this Pluto, Uranus, Jupiter T-square that's been flavoring this whole year. So there's some energy here around destiny. This is a big part of this comes from Saturn being on the Galactic Center. And so Saturn's on the Galactic Center, which is this gravitational pull, this center of the galaxy, this kind of, what is it all about ultimately? That energy in Saturn's like the taskmaster, the bring it real, father time, karma, work, duty, let's make it happen. And so bring it down to earth. Bring this energy down to earth. So how do we bring the center of the galaxy to the earth? Well, Venus wants to show us how, and it has a lot to do with rebirthing the divine feminine and healing those wounds of the divine feminine. So the divine feminine is within all of us, and the woundedness is this energy of not being able to value ourselves, not being able to stand up for what's right and true and beautiful. I saw this example in a reading I did recently where there was a discrepancy between he's grown older but gone home to live for a while, and then with his mother finding that, you know, what was acceptable behavior in the past for him was now really bothering him. And it was like, this is an exact example of where Venus is activating in our life and finding that inner child within, finding this part of ourselves that needs to be valued and cared for and to be able to do our destiny, right? So it's like Venus is going to Chiron there at the end of Pisces, where it is right now, the wounded healer and the goddess hanging out. And it's like Beauty and the Beast. And goddess is saying, let's transform this beast. Let's heal, release, rewrite the story of the past. We cannot go forward with these painful patriarchal ideals running our world anymore. And so Venus is turning direct today, bringing this place of moving forward out of the pain and struggle. Now it's really intense because, I mean, Chiron's in Pisces, and Pisces seems to represent this woundedness right now, the end of Pisces of the past age. And so you're basically, we're looking at this Piscean energy where, and we've been dealing with this kind of confusion and our connection to the spiritual world and the woundedness around the power structures of the past age. And so Chiron right there at the end of Pisces is saying, with Venus the goddess, is saying it's time to release, rewrite, transform the wounded feminine. And that's every single person on earth. It is not females entirely. We all have male and female within. And so what we are being asked to do is to stand up for what's right, what's true, what's just, what's beautiful, what's harmonious. This is a massive activation for the soul group, the indigo soul groups. There's a bunch of sub-soul groups right now being highly activated by this Chiron energy and coming into that shaman part of themselves, coming into the truth of who they really are. This Venus turning direct is bringing us a new story. And the story that we want to write that's going to move us into the new age, we've got to get rid of the squashing, the ridiculing, and the negativity, the oppression of the most beautiful parts of ourselves. And we have to reclaim those beautiful parts of ourselves. And that's what's necessary for us to express our destiny, to step into our destiny, to step into what we are really here for and what we're really here to do. So this Venus turning direct is a powerful moment to stand up for yourself, what you really want. This last journey of Venus retrograde that started on March 4th basically is a journey, but back into the end of January, all the way back to October of 2016, because that is when Saturn conjuncted Venus conjuncted Saturn. Now Saturn and Venus are square with Chiron in the mix. And it's like we're getting down and dirty with the work of the goddess. And we got to clean that up. And so we're really seeing this at the end of Pisces as the nodes begin to move into Virgo. The North Node has been, the node has been in Virgo and it's moving into Leo. So the North Node there means the South Node is in Pisces. And so the South Node's still there. It's right there in Pisces, about to, the South Node in Pisces, about to move into Aquarius. So we're cleaning up the wounds. We're getting out of the past what's not serving us anymore. And so this Venus retrograde is about how you figure out what you need to get rid of. And so everything, all the issues that have been coming up around love, relationships, your self-worth, how your relationship to yourself, all that is shaping and forming your future. because as the North Node moves into Leo, it's time to express. With that South Node in Pisces and North Node in Virgo, it was about cleaning up, discriminating, finding the truth, sorting out the wounds of the past with Chiron there in Pisces. So now Venus has gone back to Pisces over the Aries point 3 times. So the Aries point is the spark of creation. It is 0 degrees Aries, where Chiron comes and crosses over Aries. This Aries, or it's where the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries. And so this point is the beginning of the zodiac, and Pisces is primordial energy of oneness, and Aries is the creation, the identity, the spark, the beginning, the building of the new. And so the goddess is crossing over this point 3 times in this Venus retrograde. The last time it crosses over this Aries point, when it moves back into Aries, is when we're finally going to be feeling some of this forward motion. That's on April 28th. Boom. May 3rd, boom. That's when Mercury turns direct. May 10th, boom, the North Node moves into Leo. May 21st, Mercury comes out of shadow, and Venus will be out of shadow on the 19th of May. So by the end of May, we've got this completion of this goddess cycle. So we're not quite there yet, but Venus turning direct is the first step in our empowerment about being able to act on the releasing of the past patterns and act on claiming our right to be treated the way we would like to be treated, to experience human life the way we would like to be supported, to bring forward our shamanistic gifts, our healing, our abilities for the planet. Do we need to sacrifice for that anymore? This is the energy of Chiron, and Chiron with Venus coming up is getting a transformation. Chiron is getting the healing of the goddess, and the goddess is saying, yeah, you know, this story of degrading the most potent, beautiful parts of ourselves, which is the feminine, that was fun for a while, but now it's over, and we are going to get this cleaned up. And so it's like Chiron will never be the same again after this Venus activation, because to have the goddess energy turning into forward motion right there with Chiron, it's saying, let's get out of the mud. And we have been in the mud. We've had with that South Node in Pisces and all this Pisces energy, Neptune at home in Pisces, and then we had Saturn in Scorpio for the last couple of years before it was in Sagittarius this last year. So we have had a lot of inner shadow work into the depths of our subconscious and cleaning up the shadow. So now it's time to move forward out of this energy. And we're going to feel that as we go through all these powerful points coming up in the future. Because right now, on April 15th, is the day that Venus turns direct, but it stays in Pisces. And when planets turn direct, that's a lot of times when you're going to feel the energy the most. So for Venus to turn direct and be like, I'm going back. I've got the information from Chiron. I'm done being a wounded healer. I'm ready to be a shaman. I'm ready to be a goddess shaman that's willing to stand up for what's right and true and beautiful in this world, because I've had enough of the patriarchal oppression of what really matters in our life. And so this is a massive revolution of our value system. Individually, our valuing ourselves, and what we value collectively on the planet. And it's funny because the media and everything just keeps feeding us all this corporate kind of energy, but I can see in people this deep revaluing opportunity where it's like, let go of all that stuff. I want a simple life. I want to live and enjoy my life. And I am done playing by your patriarchal paradigm, and I'm going to be creative. I'm going to express my true gifts, and I'm going to do what I'm here to do. So this is ultimately the beginning of this massive activation as Venus turns direct here on Chiron, the wounded healer / transformational shaman, and moving forward into the future. But Venus does not hit new territory until May 19th. So it's not till the end of May that we're really going to feel what this Venus retrograde has all been about. So it's a tricky time right now because we're still in the Pisces energy. We've got this forward motion, activate the goddess, bring the goddess into your life, but then we've got this retrograde energy still with Mercury and Saturn, and we also have Venus still in the confusing sign of Pisces. And so as it turns direct, it's going to move into the new territory, but we're still going to feel this Pisces Chiron energy here for this next week or so. And so until May 3rd is when Mercury turns direct. So Venus turning direct is still going to be, I don't know exactly where I'm going, and May 3rd. So April 28th is when Venus crosses over the Aries point for the third time, the spark of creation, starting something new, and this inspirational standing up for what you really want in your life and stepping on the path that really matters to you. So that energy is going to kick back in on April 28th, and then we're going to feel the impetus for forward motion more as Mercury turns direct on May 3rd. But it won't really feel like we can get anywhere really big steps until the end of May, when both of these planets come out of shadow and really begin to move into new territory. And in the middle of all that happening, we've got the North Node moving into Leo, and this is a huge change because North Node is a very collective energy. We're all going through this. This is the way that we move forward in our evolution, humanity. And so the node moving from Virgo into Leo, because it goes backwards like the ages through the zodiac, is a huge, huge shift. And we are being called to finally express the truth of who we really are. And this Venus retrograde is giving us the tools to figure out what we care about, what we really want, and be able to move forward. So on May 10th, that North Node moving into Leo is like, get your game plan on. It's time to start expressing the truth of who you are. We've been cleaning up the shadow and reconciling these parts of ourselves and figuring out what we really care about with this Venus retrograde. And it's time to begin taking real action in real ways on our destiny path. That's this Saturn hanging out on the Galactic Center, squaring Venus and Chiron right now. And it's so potent and so rare, and it hardly ever happens. And so what we have is these powerful patriarchal energies, really. Like Saturn's it's the father, it's very patriarchal, and Venus is there with Chiron, the centaur, the wounded shaman. And so it's just this tension and this pull on like the power plays of our life, and just a deep desire to release those. And it's kind of like, almost like, okay, well, to step on your destiny path, you need to basically reconcile your past pain and be willing to express the truth of who you are. And so Saturn is saying it's time, it's time to get on your path. Saturn takes 29 years, like a Saturn return, to go around the planet. And so it hasn't been on the Galactic Center for 29 years. It's the second time this time because it's just turned retrograde and gone back to just this exact location of the Galactic Center. And so this is our call, humanity, to step into our destiny. And that is squaring the goddess. So we've got to value the parts of ourselves that have not been valued, and that divine feminine, our true gifts, and what really matters to us. And so even though we're not quite ready to leap off, it's really potent time to get in touch with what's happened over this last couple of months, since the end of January. This reevaluation of your deepest needs and desires. And so Venus rules money, and it rules love, and it rules relationships, and it rules values. And it's what we really want. It's desire in a different way. Mars is like active desire, and Venus is what we really want, desire. It's a feminine desire. It's the law of attraction and being able to imagine and visualize. So Venus, the path that Venus makes around the Earth as it goes through its retrograde cycle, after it goes through 8 retrograde cycles, it creates a 5-pointed star, which is the symbol of creation. And Venus is the great attractor, really. It's like the desire of Aphrodite that can bring to her what she wants. And so this energy, right, with Saturn on the Galactic Center, has that same kind of pull energy. And then throw in there this Aries, Venus going over the Aries point 3 times and activating this spark of creation, this possibility, this something from nothing. This is the potent possibility we have right now, especially with, I haven't even mentioned this yet, but one of the main things happening today, along with Venus turning direct, is the Sun and Uranus conjunction. And the Sun in Uranus is like, be your true spiritual self, your true wacky self, like what really matters to you on a higher level, in your unique spiritual, innovative way of being in the world. And so it's like we are getting, and Vesta is in Cancer, which is opposing the Pluto in Capricorn. So we're getting this powerful picture of being pulled into our destiny while attracting what we really want in higher service to the earth through nurturing is kind of a lot of the energy going on. And this is like qualifying this massive generational change that's going on. And so this Venus heading to this Aries point, this spark of creation on April 28th for the 3rd time. That'll be its 3rd pass over this point. This is something from nothing, creating out of nothing. And then with all that magical Uranus energy going on right now, with that Uranus conjunct the Sun, activating our truth, our true truth, not the truth of who we are to everyone else in the world, but our truth to our spiritual truth, the part of ourselves from past lives, part of ourselves that we want to express that hasn't been able to find expression in this life. And so all that energy is bringing together this powerful force of pulling us into our destiny, but in order to get on that path of this magnetic attraction into our most appropriate timeline, creating something out of nothing, tapping into the manifesting energy of Venus, we've got to release the stories of the past. And so for us, this is the conditioning. I'm going to tell you that most of my readings these days, last few weeks, have been about parts of the soul spirit complex that as a child were either feared, condemned, oppressed, or squashed by the parents, unknowingly, subconsciously, but because this soul came in with a different energy or something that was threatening because of a past life story. And so this Venus retrograde is really about reclaiming that part of yourself, reclaiming the truth of who you are. Uranus and the Sun coming together. It's the magical, mystical truth of you that knows why you're going through all of this crazy earth experience. And the energy here right now is like, let's get down to business. Like, okay, we've gone through this trauma, we've gone through this age of patriarchal stuff, and it's like, now let's do what we're really here to do. And that happens by each of us stepping up to the plate as our shaman healer, bringing our unique magical gifts to planet Earth. Nobody can do it like you can do it. And so Venus is helping us get into alignment with what we really want and what we want our life to look like in our expression, because that is the core of what's necessary to feel like we deserve the life that we want, to feel like we deserve the good things in life. Venus is about receiving the abundant treasures, attracting, letting yourself be nurtured with that energy there of Vesta and Cancer. And so and also we have Mars and Mercury in Taurus. So we're really talking about Earth Mama energy here. Venus is the ruler of Taurus, makes it really strong right now. These other planets in the supportive role of hanging out with Taurus is making Venus massively exalted, not to mention that she's square, with Chiron, exactly square Saturn on the Galactic Center. It's all about Venus right now, which means it's all about the goddess and respecting ourselves on a deep level in order to be able to bring forward our gifts and support ourselves being who we really need to be, who we really want to be, our highest calling, our most satisfying life. Go out and grab it. And so today is my launch of my goddess activation. It's an 8-pillar, 8-video class series that's downloadable. Single classes are $20 each. And this is how I developed this course over this Venus retrograde. And it's about grabbing onto this juicy energy of the goddess. And this Venus turning direct, I'm just so happy to share this with you because it's about grabbing life by the horns, that Taurus energy, the bull, and bringing in the goddess into our life, bringing home the elders of the tribe, the wise wisdom, caring for our wisdom of the feminine, caring for the parts of ourselves that are unique and beautiful and need to feel like they are nurtured into expression, the empathic part of ourselves, the spiritual part of ourselves, the creative part of ourselves. All of this is massively getting activated, and not just activated, but being called to be expressed in this world with that Leo turning, or the North Node moving into Leo on the 10th of May. So this is when we start. We're getting out of the shadows and we're going to start being called. And if you can use this energy in your life right now, this next year and a half, you can really feel like you can get on your path, because it's called to shine, to express creatively and fun and in a real way this the truth of who you really are. And so we're going to see that a lot as this changes are going on, because this Pluto-Uranus square, this Pluto-Uranus-Jupiter T-square, and the world is kind of getting shaken up. And the goddess is like kind of clarifying all this, being like, hey, you guys, can you just like love yourself and see what happens then, right? Like, and so we're having a massive revaluation in our whole society, but now we finally are expressing that. We're going to see that expressed. We're going to see new businesses that have ethical values. We're going to see new compassionate leaders come forward to the stage. This is a time when the indigo generation and the indigo soul groups are getting massively activated into their shamanic leadership, healing, nurturing skills, birthing this new age. So for this Venus direct for you, it's about what do you really want your life to look like and feel like, and how can you tap into this Venus and Venetian energy of manifestation and kind of being in the magic of that spark of creation. That's where we are right now for these next few weeks. It's like, what is it going to be? I don't know. It's just a little spark right now. We don't know exactly what it's going to be, but that little spark is growing, and what your job is right now over these next few weeks is to nurture the growth of that spark and let it be nothing. Let it be everything. All possibility is within you right now in this potent, magical time. But the possibility is about getting on your path and about getting to who you really are and expressing that truth, and stop pandering to the people around you and everybody who's told you that those aren't, you got to fit in with everybody else. It's like, no, the Aquarian Uranus energy right now, Sun and Uranus, that is the wacky part of you. That is a different part of you. That's the pure magic. And that is accessible. It's an interesting, unique part of ourselves from past lives, where our soul spirit has attained these gifts. And, we don't carry a lot with us in our soul, but we carry some pain and trauma and pain pictures. But we also carry these gifts. Like, if we spent years and years or lifetimes being a musician, we're going to easily be able to take to music and not be able to pick it up immediately and totally remember, but there will be an affinity there. These are special, unique gifts of this Uranus and the Sun energy, and it's time for us to accept these about ourselves, because most likely those most precious, special gifts that need to be like coddled and held like this and supported like this, the Mercury and Mars and Taurus right now, but it's like in society, and as you were growing up as a child and your parents maybe not being familiar with that energy or intimidated by it, you know, that was maybe what was told was wrong about you, you know. So we have to go back and reclaim this part of ourselves that's right about us that didn't fit in exactly. And so this is so potent with Uranus together with the sun today as Venus turns direct. And I'm just so happy that we could be here together and experience this moment and be so present with these energies as we move forward into creating this new age. Surrender to a simpler life. Surrender to the universe pulling you onto your destiny. Surrender to what's trying to happen magically in your life to get you in touch with your magic so that you can start expressing that stuff on earth right here, right now, this year, 2017. So I hope that you will take the opportunity to get your goddess on, get your goddess activation. That's at adrianelise.com/goddess-activation. And I have that link on my page. And also there's a goddess activation Facebook page as well. So get your goddess on if you're looking for guidance to figure out what you really want, your life direction, some major decisions. This is a great time to get a personal intuitive healing session with me. And you can find out more about that at adrianelise.com as well. So I'm super excited to share this Venus turning direct. Finally, we're coming to some forward motion in this, even though it's still confusing and muddy and murky right there with Chiron and Pisces in the past and like holding us back. We're feeling this forward motion. We're gonna feel more of that as Venus moves back into Aries. That's gonna happen at April 28th. And so this next couple weeks, dream about what you want to create from that Aries point. Let yourself be in the Pisces energy of the primordial possibilities, the connection with spirit, the connection with oneness. Uranus Sun activation, the activation of your quirky individual way you want to express the divine in this lifetime. Imagine what it looks like in your wildest dreams, you know, to express these gifts, these wants, these desires that have been coming forward over this Venus retrograde. Use these next 2 weeks to dream and figure out what you want to put into your spark of creation. What ideas do you want to put in there? Like, what does it feel like? What does it look like? So you can make the most of this magically potent time of Venus crossing over the Aries point, and I'll do another Facebook Live when that happens on April 28th. So I hope that I will see you then for that. And again, we can tap into the potent energy and really be present with what's happening together as we move into this new energy of 2017. And of course, then we talked about Mercury turning direct on May 3rd. That's another opportunity for a great Facebook discussion. And then again, when the North Node moves into Leo on May 10th. So wow, we've got a power-packed month, some time, 6 weeks, time of dreaming and time of visualizing and time of reevaluating what you really care about and getting rid of the old stories, dematerializing those old stories and creating, rewriting something new to be expressed into the world as this new you, but it's really the old you, but it was suppressed out of you as a child, most likely this deeper spiritual self that's being activated right now today with Uranus and the sun together. So great having you here, and I look forward to these other potent moments, and we will see you then. I'm Adrienne Elise. I'm here because I'm passionate about helping people have an empowered awakening experience using the stars and the tools of this world to help it be harmonious and easy. So I look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.